me. It was a private show.
Yeah, it was a private show just for Mindi. Our guest today is Mindi Huebner. One of my favorite guests, actually. I keep bringing her back because we just love talking to each other. So for those who are just joining us, this is a live recording of the Be Bold You podcast. I'm on episode 73, just the start of season 4. What? Yeah. But if you are looking for that right now, you and you're watching this live, if you're watching the recording, hopefully by the time you get this recording, you will know that everything's back to normal. So I accidentally deleted my whole show instead of an episode. I thought I was deleting an episode, and I deleted them all. So I have to rebuild it, but I will rebuild, and we've got the recording. So, hey, this is the way life happens sometimes, right? It doesn't always happen. So I could be here and I could focus on that path, right? On the fact that I blew it up. I blew up my own podcast. The fact that nobody can see any of the old ones if they went to go, oh, oops. Or I can choose to focus on the future and rebuilding it and putting it together and having it done and having it being even beyond the putting it together, that it's done and it's out there and you guys can see it and hear it and all of that stuff. So welcome, Mindi Huebner. Please introduce yourself because I love it when you do that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. Happy New Year, everyone. I cannot believe it's January 10th. Either if you're seeing this live and whenever you listen to it, wow, the first 10 days have felt like they flew by and like, oh my gosh, it's already been a long year. I am in the States and so I am so excited to be here. I am Mindi Huebner. I'm a life on purpose coach and an unlocker of magic. I typically coach ambitious women to create massive change in their thoughts, habits, and beliefs through really small shifts so that they can have the extraordinary life and business that they were made for. And I love what I do.
Yay! Alrighty. So, what are we going to talk about today, Miss Mindi? I think I put something about the vision is now your future, right? Because if you don't look at the future, but it's not looking at the future so much as it is living your vision now or then.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Unpack that for us.
Yes. Well, we get to create it, right? We get to envision it. We get to write it out. We get to see it play in the screen of our mind. And I'm going to piggyback this with mental rehearsal, which we talk about in almost every episode, I bet, that we're together, because your mind has a mind-body connection, and you will create your body. When you create the vision in your mind, your body will follow along. And so we get to write it, we get to smell it, we get to taste it, we get to see it, we get to future pace it out, and then we get to become it now. We get to act as if. We get to embody that future version of us. And when we do that, this is part of mentally rehearsing. We can mentally rehearse and future pace a vision way out. And who will I, when I continue to walk in those steps, what is the outcome going to be? And who am I becoming in the outcome? And so we literally create our own realities with our thoughts that become our beliefs, our identity. And then our habits reinforce that. They reinforce our identity and our thoughts. And they also then are part and parcel of the actions that we take and the reality that we create. So we get to vision the future. Now, what do we want to take from the past? Because I before Cindy and I started, guys, I said to her, what if you spend as much time in your vision as you did reliving your past? And I think that's Dr. Joe Dispenza, actually, who said that. I just heard it and wrote it down. It was so like, yes, because We live in the past. While sometimes living in the past, we're living in like greatness. Mostly when we're living in the past, we're reliving the stuff that we don't want to happen again. Yet we get stuck in that pattern. And so I love to every year, right around the beginning of the year, I do a free workshop called Bless and Release, so you can embrace and create. And so we look at the learnings from like 2020. Wow, a lot of learnings and a lot of crap to release, right? We look at the learnings, we say, okay, where is there a learning in this? What habits, what thoughts?
I'm sorry, but where isn't there learning in 2020? Like, where isn't
No
there? Like,
kidding. Right. Yeah.
learned so many things, right?
We had the opportunity to learn at every moment. Whether we took it or not is a whole nother thing. Fair enough?
Now see, you're going to go there, huh? Yeah, because it is up to us, right? So my whole thing is you get to choose. You get to choose who you are, who you become, who you show up in the world as. You get to choose. It's up to you. Are you choosing to embrace the opportunity? Yeah.
And sometimes, and no judgment, like we get to get curious when we're not judging ourselves when we don't embrace an opportunity. Like lots of us are, but I'm going to invite you to just get curious instead. Okay, what is stopping me from embracing this opportunity, this learning experience, so that I can take what I've learned here and do it different next time, do it better, do it in a way that serves me more. Like, get curious about why we want to stay in a puddle, so to speak. Why do we want to stay in a place that doesn't support us moving forward? So we get to get curious because we choose. We're constantly choosing, and we're always winning the game that we're playing. And so if we're living in the past and choosing to stay in the past and choosing to relive the lessons that were like struggles and just downright horrible, and we're taking them that way, as opposed to, and this is not, I always have to caveat this. This is not spiritual bypassing. Like, there was a lot of really heavy stuff, and we got to sit in that and feel it and process it. We are not saying, oh, everything's great. Like that's not the message at all. Process and surrender.
Last year.
And, yeah. Exactly.
Because
right.
I think
good
so many
vibes
people.
only.
Yeah, good vibes only. Yeah, exactly. So many people are sometimes afraid to sit in it, afraid that it will consume them, overwhelm them, and that they'll become that identity. I know I was, I didn't want to be identified as my past, right? I didn't want to be identified by what I had done, by the things that I had experienced. But we're not identified by that. We're identified by what we choose to be identified by. So we can be identified by our past. We can live in that place. But we can also embrace the past in a way that we don't identify ourselves with it, but we understand we experienced it. We accept that we experienced it. And then we choose, what do we do with what we've experienced? Does it need to be blessed and released, or does it need to be held on to and cherished?
Exactly. Will it serve us to take it into the future? Literally, like seeing yourself standing in 2020 with all the mounds of what happened and what you want to take with you, and what habits and what ways of being and what identities you want to take with you, and which ones you want to leave in 2020, and literally stepping over a giant red line. Like, you're drawing your line, you're stepping over into 2021, that new human, that freed human, that human who embraces experiential learning and then takes it forward, like takes things that support you moving forward into the future.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm thinking of, I'm sorry, my brain was like, oh, you could tell too. You could tell I was thinking. So I was thinking way back to the Wright brothers and thinking of flying and the fact that Leonardo da Vinci actually had written down plans for flight, years and years and years before that. So humans
Mhm.
have thoughts. I was listening to Unhackable this morning. I don't know if you've read that book yet, but I'm
Not yet.
reading that book, Unhackable. And in there, one of the days, I don't know which day because I probably listened ahead. Once something starts playing and I get going on something else, it just keeps playing in the background. But it was talking about if ideas can happen in more than one place at the same time. So we'll have an idea and then we'll see somebody else has already done that idea or is doing it. And then we feel like they took our idea. No, that idea was there. It was alive. It's as if ideas have a life, right? It's as if they're living. And I think they are because there's electronic stuff connected
Energy,
with
yeah.
it. Now we're getting into quantum physics, but hey, let's whatever. But there's this energy to the idea, and the idea is living there. And when someone grabs hold of it and then implements it, and when you grab hold of it, you're grabbing a hold of it from the future, and you're bringing it into the now and acting on it now to actually have the future happen now.
And when, yes, 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 we are getting quantum. Everybody better hang on. And I have two things to say about that. So when we bring it into our consciousness, right, it is going to happen if we stay on the path then. Like before it's in our consciousness, like we don't know what we don't know, right? And then the moment that we can create the vision, that we have this spark, that we see ourselves in a new identity, acting as if, right? The moment that we download that, now it's limitless. Yeah. Now we can have that reality when we stay the path, when we think the thoughts and do the things and become the woman who that vision was made for, right? That's how we get to then take that from the future and make it right now. And the other piece
starts taking the steps.
Yeah, aligned action. I mean, we while I would love to I said I'm an unlocker of magic. Well, that doesn't mean whoop, it's done. It means we unlock the magic and then we take aligned action in the magic, right? There is no magic pill. There is no overnight success. There isn't, right? There's work, and it doesn't have to be awful work either. It gets to be the good hard work, right? It gets to be the amazing growth work. It gets to be the bless and release and the embrace work. Like that's how we get there. The other piece of that, where you talked about an idea being up here and almost in the collective consciousness. We've talked about this before too. When you have I feel like the Holy Spirit puts out there's a message in the collective, and I'll grab the message and you'll grab the message and we'll deliver the same message in a different way because people need to hear it in a different way. And it's the same thing with an idea, right? So the idea feels similar at the core, but then we're going to wrap that idea in our identity and we're going to reach the people who identify with us in a different way than someone else.
Yeah, I love that. That is so cool. How do we vision? How do we envision? How do we go from okay, so I'm sure that there's people that are listening to this now who have never thought about living in a vision or, spending time in a vision or even writing a vision. Like it's all brand new to them. What would you say?
The first thing I would say is what do you want in your life? What do you want? And give yourself permission to go bananas. No one's going to read this. There's zero judgment in what you want. So write it all down. Like just get it all out of you. Do a massive brain dump and write down all the things that you want, and don't judge them, right? As they're coming out, you don't have to judge them like, oh, that'll never happen. We'll figure that part out later. Like, don't worry about the how for now. Just get it all out and get it all out and get it all out and see what really speaks to you. See, when you really look at that, like, yeah, that is what I want for my life. That is what I want for my business. That's what I want for my finances. That's what I want for my spirituality, whatever it is, right? Like these are the things that I maybe you have health, health goals. And if you're thinking, I don't know what I want, like I'm just not happy now. Okay, what don't you want any more of? How about you get that out, do a brain dump on what you don't want any more of in your life, because then you'll look at it and go, okay, I don't want any more of this. What are some things I can do to not get any more of that in my life? And then you're switching it into aligned action, right? You're switching it into now, how do I get to show up? Where do I get to find these resources? Are they within me? Can I reach out and find other people to collaborate with? But and I feel like for many years as a society, we don't really dream very well. I mean, there's some of us who are the dreamers and the visioners, right? And then the rest of us, not so much. Like we're not, it's, my parents, God love them, they didn't teach me how to create a vision for my life that way, like, because no one taught them. So they were of the, you go to work every day and like this is what you do. Neither of them were entrepreneurs or anything like that. And they both have great lives and were successful. And I knew from a really young age that was not my path. Like I didn't know what my path was, but I knew I was gonna be constantly finding it. And visioning has been part of it, casting that vision and stepping into it, pulling it from the future into my consciousness yeah, now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Now. Yes.
Saying
We got
that
it.
5 times fast. That has been like an amazing journey that in the last couple years for me has blown wide open. The more we vision, the more we dream, the more we put it on paper and then create strategies and habits around it that enable us to continue to walk in it, the more it happens. What I will tell you is you're already visioning, you're already creating, you just might not like it. You just might not like it, but you're already doing it.
I don't think people who have never purposefully, consciously, focusedly looked at vision and where they're going realize that they're already doing it. And
So
they
powerful.
think it's a whole new thing that they have to learn. And it's
Right.
not. It's a new thing that you need to harness. And it's not even a new thing. It's an old thing that you're doing. It's a pattern that you already have happening in your brain that you need to harness to shift to where you want to be.
Exactly. So you're recreating the past over and over and over again because that's your vision for the future. That's what happens to a lot of us is we recreate that vision because we get stuck in a rut. We don't think there's another way. It's fine. I can't change it anyway. Also, as a side note, when that is occurring, here's what's happening as well with us. We have two choices. We can live at cause or we can live at effect. And when we live at effect, we live at circumstance and the wind blowing and everyone else's whims. And we point out, well, it's your fault and the economy and my job and my boss and this and that. And remember, there's no judgment here. This is a place for you to get real curious about, are you living at circumstance? Are you living at effect in your life and letting everything dictate for you? In order to vision intentionally, we move over into living at cause, which is where we take responsibility for the one thing that we can take responsibility for, and that's us. And then we get a list of results in our lives. Now, we might not always like them, but when we take responsibility for them, we also then say, I am powerful enough to change these results too. It's stepping into that person.
I have this example that I heard the other day on Clubhouse. Been living on Clubhouse a little bit, I admit it. Loving it though.
You're speaking another language.
And
I'm an Android user, so I'm not on Clubhouse.
you can't get on there yet. Well,
I
it's
can't get there from
conversations, and in
here.
these conversations, what's that?
I said I can't get there from here. You can't get there from here.
You can't get there. It's true, unless you have an iPad, in which
Mhm.
case you could get there from here, and you could
Okay.
keep your Android and still get. All you need is an iPad. So
Okay.
if you decide you want to get on, you let me know. I've got an invite for you. All right.
Okay.
So one of the stories that I heard was this guy was talking about being stuck in his writing. And this is a story that was told to us told this coach that he was talking to. He's like, I'm just in this drought. And the coach was like, well, tell me more about it. He's like, well, in 4 months, it'll be a year of not writing. And the guy was like, that was an interesting way to tell me that you're in an 8-month drought. Like you just predicted the next 4 months our drought. So I'm thinking with people who, I lost my job and in 4 more months it's going to be a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there's a lot.
Yes.
Okay,
So
I
powerful.
lost my job. What is the opportunity for me now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Shift it to that. Where's the opportunity? Let's get curious about what can I do now? What can I do now that's possible that wasn't possible because I had a job?
Right. Right.
Where can I go? What can I
Exactly.
do? I remember when I got divorced and we were separated. We weren't quite divorced yet, but we were separated. And I stood there in the kitchen in April or May, whenever it was, April or May, and there was this much snow out, like up to here, and snow out the window, like I could see it. We just had a huge 2 or 3 foot snowstorm, and I'm in Vermont, and it's May, and I'm standing there going, why do I live here? And I live here because I was married to somebody who lives here, and this is his home area. Well, we're separated and divorcing. I don't have to stay here. Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? What kind of weather do I want to wake up to every morning? Like I had all of that. I'm like, let me get out a map. And if I wasn't going through a divorce, that wouldn't have been an option in that moment for me to just look at the whole world and say, where do I want to go? Well, the whole US at that point. And I went and looked for where the sun was shining on the map. Like I found one of those maps that had like sunshine or snow or whatever. And I went for where's the sun? Where is it? And Phoenix had like the most, like Arizona had the most. It had sun, 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 sun. And I went, I'm going there. And I did. I moved to Phoenix. Within 3 months, I was in school. I graduated 2 years later as valedictorian of my class in, graphic design. None of that would have happened if I sat there and just went, oh, I'm stuck here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hate winter. I guess I'll just wait till spring comes and then it will be good for a few months and go back to winter.
Right.
Or I can just go where there's no winter. But that opportunity opened up because of something horrible that was happening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I could have focused on the horrible.
And there were things like, there was still rough things in that. It's not that there was not, lots of rough things going on in there as well. And yet you were able to see the possibilities that came from it, what you were capable of, what was possible, because you were worth it, right? Like your well-being was worth it. Your vision is worth it. It's worth it. And so getting there, getting to that place, what's possible for me? Anything. Like really anything. Now narrow it down a little bit. What do you want to be possible for you? You know,
Yeah.
what would you like to see? And you get to, like I said, be crazy in that, in what's possible for me now because, right? Like what's possible for me now because of 2020. Like everyone can say that. what's possible for me now because of 2020, right? No matter where you were in the globe. And the possibilities, aside from being endless, what's possible for me in this next week? What's possible for me in this next month? What's possible for me in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years? Where do I want to be in 10 years? Because we can come all the way back now and reverse engineer. If you decide you have a dream that 10 years from now, you're going to be living on the beach in New Zealand, then we get to reverse engineer that 10-year vision, if that is truly your vision, all the way up to today. What's the next aligned action step that I get to take towards that vision, that outcome of living on a beach in New Zealand in 10 years? Like literally. And if I'm living on a beach in New Zealand in 10 years, where do I need to be in 5 years? Like, what does my financial picture need to look like? What does this need to look like? Okay. And then we reverse engineer. Okay. Then in a year, this is the marker that I need to be at. And so we're constantly casting the vision, right? We cast it way out and then we pull it back in to get like laser focused. So we don't get overwhelmed. In 10 years, I'm going to be here. And it's not even, here's the beauty in this is a new habit that you're creating. And here's the beauty in it. It's not even about the outcome. While the outcome will be amazing, it is who you are becoming in the process. Each day.
Yeah.
Every step closer.
Yeah.
The choices that you're making, the way that you're supporting that vision. You are becoming.
Yeah. And if we go back for just a minute to like, this is something people do every day. I want them to know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's my example for today. Today at 1:30, I have a funeral to go to. I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But I need to be there, right? I know what time I need to be there. That's when it starts. I want to be there an hour earlier. So now I'm looking at, okay, I want to arrive or half an hour earlier. So I want to arrive at 1. Well, now what time do I need to leave home in order to arrive at 1? I need to leave home by 12:30, right? And what if there's going to be construction? Okay, maybe I better leave home about noon, right? So I'm adding in some cushion because it's construction. We're in summer here, so there's construction, right? So I'm adding in, or they're going to move cows, and I got to wait for cows to go across the road. One or the other will happen. So, you just add in the extra time. So now I'm leaving the house about, 12? In order to get there at 1. And if I get there early, I get to relax and rest and do some fun play things, right? So you set your goal and then you work your way backwards. What are the steps I need to take? So in order for me to leave here at noon, it means I got to be off the air with you by, 11:30. So I have time in case I want to dress myself up or change or anything. I think I'm going to go as is. But, I have to think about all of those things. So I think when people think, oh, I got to come up with all the steps, it's not that hard and you do it every day.
Yes.
Right? You do it in small.
Yeah. Yes. And you vision every day and you create your reality every day. You meditate every day. You already know, I promise, like whoever is listening, inside you have every resource to do this already because you do it. You just don't necessarily do it intentionally, and you don't do it to move you towards what you really want. You move it to keep you where you don't want to be. You do it. It moves you to create the past over and over and over again. I just heard I was listening to this great video and about creating the reality that we want, visioning it, right? It coming to fruition. This is what he does every morning when he wakes up. The very first thing that he does, he's laying in bed, he opens his eyes, and he says, like, he pretends that he is at the end of the day, in bed, getting ready to go to sleep. And he's like, what an amazing day. So many miracles happened today. Like, I made new connections. I moved my body. I had healthy food, like whatever, right? Whatever it is. He starts the day with the end in mind. Stephen Covey, begin with the end in mind. You want an outcome, you want to create a reality, know the reality you want to create and begin with that in mind. And now he set himself up from the very beginning of the day, speaking into his consciousness, the amazing end of the day. Now it is in his realm. He's already put it out there. He's already decided the end of the day is the whole day is going to be amazing because at the end, I'm grateful for it. And there's been all these miracles. And now he's going to be able to see. And we, if we use this practice, we'll be able to see as well the miracles that happen in the day, the connections that happen in the day, all the things that are moving us toward having an amazing day and being grateful at the end of the day. It's such a simple practice to put in. Like it's so simple.
Yeah. And if you get to the end of the day and it hasn't gone as you had visioned, now you get to reframe.
Exactly.
Right.
And
because
you
we can
also,
reframe.
yes. He even talks about revising. So, okay, we get to the end of the day and we ended up having an argument with someone or something like that. He talks about replaying that. How do I want to show up different in that next time? How do I get to make that situation better? How do I
now
get
have
to
an
choose?
opportunity. I now have an opportunity to use what I learned today for the next time that I'm faced with the same situation.
Exactly. And we're doing this. We do this too. We do this too when we go, oh, well, today's going to suck because I have to go see so-and-so. And every time I see so-and-so, I show up like this and she shows up like that. We do it already. We already do all of this. We just don't do it to our benefit. We do it to our detriment. We do it to our death, little by little by little by little, right? We just suck the life out of ourselves little by little by little without even realizing it. Guess what my word of the year is. I picked a word picked me very loudly. My word for the year is intention.
Okay.
And this is all about intention. Like, where are your thoughts intentionally going? Because this is a superpower that we all have. So if you've ever said affirmations are you practicing directing your attention in a positive direction towards something that you want? You are directing your thought intentionally, not letting your thoughts run you. You direct your thoughts.
Yeah. There is so much power to our thoughts and the words that we say. One of the phrases that I've added in for 2021 is the phrase, up until now.
Ooh, I love it. Ooh.
So, up until now, I struggled getting up in the mornings, right? Up until now, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. You can add that up until now before anything, before you start. And I started to say to somebody the other day, I went, up until now, what I've been struggling with was, and I put that in the past, right? That was.
Yes.
And now I'm learning, I'm walking into a new being, a new person, the new one who knows how to do this already. And then I can envision myself knowing how to do it, which is crazy. But I had children that did this all the time. I had 2 children, 2 of my 5, who were tested. The other 3 weren't tested, so I don't know. But they naturally understood, and I do this too. They naturally understood concepts that they had not yet mastered. So they were, they were being tested on math concepts and, whatever kind of concepts. And they understood them enough to be able to answer the concept related questions correctly. But then when they had to do the process, they couldn't do the process. But they understood it. So they were learning the process. And that's the step by step, isn't it? That's the walking it out. That's the taking the aligned steps in order to move towards what we want. Right. And we can see it first. We're designed as humans to see it first.
Yes. Yes. If we can pull it into our consciousness, we can learn the how, right? We can learn the steps. It's even being able to see the concept. It's seeing the concept and then going, oh yeah, yep, that's the concept I want. That's what I want to move toward. I am going back to your word, your phrase, your new phrase that you're using, because words are so empowering or disempowering for us, and they're containers for energy. They're containers for what will be, period, for us. And we can either stay stuck in our struggles, right? Stay stuck in who we were, or we can ditch the judgment. Because when we say things like should and but and you need to, those are all very judgment. Those come from a very judgmental, shameful place. And when we switch them to and, from now on, in the future, next time. So instead of, oh, I should have done it this way, next time, I'm going to do it this way. Oh, I should have, because I can't think of what her name is right now, but she's a love coach. And she says, her name is Lisa something. Anyway, she says, should is a could with shame smeared on it.
Ooh,
and so, so next time I could show up like this, right? I could, and there's no shame in it. So in the future, I could do it like this. Instead of, oh, well, you should have. That's just an ending. There's no opening in should have. There's no opening in but. And this is a habit, it's a terrible habit that almost all of us have, to say but. Oh yeah, I hear you, but what about? So instead, because when we said that, really, I just negated everything that you said, right? But just stops the conversation. Instead, if I say, oh, I hear you, Cindy, and ... after that.
What about this?
Then I'm bringing us together. I'm in a creation space as opposed to a closed off space. And
there's the wondering, right? And I'm also wondering. Now you're taking away the I'm telling you to do it this way. And you're adding. So if you're having a conversation with somebody, right? And they're like, I hear you. And I wonder if this may work. Or I wonder if you looked at it this way. I just wonder. I'm just wondering. Like, it is entirely up to you. Like, you get to wonder too. But I've added wonder into my life a lot. It's like, I'm wondering. I'm just wondering. Because I am wondering. I'm not saying that you absolutely have to do it this way, or that if you do this, it's going to work. Because it may work for me, yet it may not work for you.
Exactly. And when we shift our habit of speaking this way, when we shift it to opening and creating and possibilities, we then create a new filter in the brain, because the brain deletes and distorts and generalizes. And that's what it does. It does it so that our lives are easier. It puts a lot of things on automation, and it will delete, distort, and generalize with what we identify ourselves with and what our beliefs are. It won't come into our brain here until we decide that we're going to change our identity here. So we're changing our identity from the person who should and the person who says but, right, to the person who is open to creation. And once we open, then the filter starts to take those things and sees those opportunities as well.
That makes me wonder.
I was going to say, what are you wondering?
You could see it on me. Like those who are watching the video, you could see it. Those who are listening to this, you couldn't see what was happening, but I was just like, I want to stop what I was thinking, right? I'm purposely using the word but this time, but I was arrested with the realization that for years in the church, we always go to the church. We can't help ourselves.
Can't.
Because it's a part of who we are. But no, and in the church, I'm not going to say and or but, just in the church, for years, I have witnessed these words. I get it in my head, but I don't understand it in my heart. Or I've gotten it up here and I'm trying to move it down here. I've gotten it in my head, but I don't understand it yet in my heart. So they've already added the but, I don't understand it, for one. Mm-hmm. And what we're saying today is when you get it in your heart, it will become part of your mind.
Yes.
When your heart's desire truly grabs a hold of the understanding of the love of God, it surpasses your understanding of your mind and it becomes a part of who you are, period. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So stop trying to get head knowledge to drop into your heart and go after the heart knowledge and let it permeate your mind. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dream, right? Like your heart's desire. You know, I mean, I recently read, and this came to me like from 2 or 3 different places. And so there's the Holy Spirit bringing it. There's the universe bringing it to me to say, okay, you need to look at this. Like, this is for you. This message is for you because you've seen it 3 different places. Proverbs 16:9. And this, I'm going to totally like paraphrase it. It's along these lines. We make plans, and a lot of the versions say, but like God makes them happen. It's an and. It's not a but. We vision. We put the desire in our heart. We set it out there. And then God comes along and co-creates with us as we do that. Period. Yeah. And I love that translation of it. And I can't tell you which translation says and, but there's a translation that says and. That these things are already in your heart because you're a believer. Like these dreams, these visions, these goals, these God-given talents, these things, they're there and you get to walk in them. And God wants to walk as a co-creator in them with you because He is the vine and you are the branches. He abides in you. There you go, right? Like there you go. You get to co-create those dreams and those desires.
For those who may be in the church and are feeling like visioning is new worldy or too much woo-woo, what other words can we use there? Just outside of what God has set up for us. God actually created our minds to dream. And in creating us, He was fulfilling His dream. He saw us before He created us. He envisioned our lives before we were created. That whole, predestined and all of that, he predestined it. He visioned it. Ooh, girl.
Well, it's a scripture. Your young men will see visions. Your old men will dream dreams. Like it's in Acts. It's in Acts. That's in Acts. I'm pretty sure it's in Acts where, and when the tongues of fire come down and like you're given this, like there's so much that's given to us that and I even say that anyone who's in the church that is feeling like, this is outside the realm, you get to be open, to the possibility that it's absolutely not outside the realm. It's exactly the realm. It is the realm. Create. Yeah. Creating and visioning and, doing those things. I mean, God gave you the powerful mind that does create your reality. So co-create it with him, right? Like bring him along. Look up scripture. There's plenty of scripture to reinforce this, to say,
if God created the universe and he created us in his image, then we have the power to create our universe. Just say
amen.
Amen.
So,
create. Be a creative. Be the creative being you were designed to be. Some of y'all are going to create in detailed little ways, and you're going to have, you're going to create all the rules that we have to try to follow, which some of us don't necessarily follow so well. Some of you are going to create things that are more like lightning. They're just sporadic and they're all over the place, but they light up the world and everybody sees for a moment everything around them when that light flash happens, right? So create the way that you're designed to create. Create the way that your heart wants to create. Ask your heart, what do you want? I think we don't talk to our heart. We talk to our mind thinking that's where we're supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
But no but. The only but there is the but of God. You may follow that but anywhere it goes. That's the only but. So even God's buts are ands, though. That's very, very, I'm going to look into that because I think all of God's buts are actually ands.
Well, definitely. Definitely. Because anytime in scripture, it's blah, blah, blah happened, but God. No, it's and God came in and God provided the ram for the sacrifice with Moses. It's not Moses. Dang it. It's not Moses. It's
Abraham.
Anyway, Abraham. All I could see was all of a sudden I had all these things coming together, right? Provided the ram, right? For the sacrifice. And God parted the sea with Moses, parted the Red Sea, right? So that they could get away from Pharaoh. And God. So all God's butts are an and. For sure. And my friends, you're already creating. You're already doing it. So just tap into it. It's not a brand new thing for you. And once you sit down and start doing it, your brain and your body is going to go, oh, I think we've been here before. We just didn't maybe like the outcome. So let's create an outcome that we want.
Let's create a recap of what we've talked about today. Do you think we can? Because I didn't take notes today. I bet you can create.
I think so.
I think you can. I'm going to solo you so that you can give us the points.
Okay.
I'm thinking that there's people now saying, okay, I'm believing that it's possible.
Okay.
But what do I do again? How do I do it again?
So Yes. So you get to start this in your thoughts and start thinking of what you want. Anything, dream huge, big, crazy dreams, brain dump, download them onto paper so that you can see them. No judgment, just writing all the crazy, wonderful, amazing things that are possible for you, because anything is possible. And then you get to go through it and say, like, what do I really want? What do I really think is possible for me? And being curious about it. So really get that out. And what's possible for me today? And what's possible for me next week? And what's possible for me a year from now? And if you're looking at one of those dreams, one of those desires that you've put down on there, and you're thinking, I don't have the resources for this. Well, where can you get the resources? And when I say resource, I don't necessarily mean money. I mean people and mentors, and I bet you have a lot of internal resources that you're probably not giving yourself credit for. So really, okay, I want a vision. How do I do it? I brain dump it all. I really listen to my heart. I sit with it. I look at it. I choose what's really speaking to me. And then I get to reverse engineer it. Like, okay, if this is really what I wanted, let's use a really simple one, a health goal. Like, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, what strategies am I going to employ? And if I want to lose 20 pounds in 6 months, then okay, at 3 months, then I'll be down 10 pounds. And then at 1 month, I'll be down, 4.2 or whatever it is. And what do I get to do different than I'm doing now to support me in that? And who do I get to be? And who could I hang out with? That would be cheering me on, that would be walking with me in this new identity, this new way of becoming. And what else can I do different? And if I'm a woman who wants to make healthier choices, and I have an outcome of wanting to lose 20 pounds, then what does that woman say to herself? And what does she read? And what does she fill her mind with? And who does she spend her time with? Like, you're doing all these things already. This is what I'm saying to you. You're doing this and you're creating the vision, or you're doing it and you're reliving the past. It's your choice. Like, this is your fork in the road. This is where you get to decide, am I going to unlock my magic? So it starts in our thoughts, it becomes our identity, our habits reinforce that, and our actions and our results come out of it. Another way is what we're saying. So what are you saying to yourself on the regular? What are you speaking? God's word never comes back void. And if you were created in his image and you have the power to create, what are you creating with your words? It doesn't come back void. If you're creating struggle and upsetness and overwhelm with your words, okay, like, check, right? Like, check it out. What's coming out of there? You are this powerful. You are capable. You are full of possibility, and you are so worthy. You're so worth it. You're so worth the intention of creating a vision. You're so worth the intention of going for it. It doesn't even matter if you hit the bullseye. It's about what you learn and who you become in the process. And you're going to surprise yourself. You're going to be like, look at me. Look who I am. Look what I could do, because I trusted in myself. I believed in myself. And every time you take a step towards that vision, towards that dream, those small wins are going to be proof to your brain that you are becoming that woman. And it'll be easier and easier to take those steps. And that'll come through your filter. You'll be recognizing all the wins and all the ways you're changing for the good. And you'll be reframing the things that happen that you're like, okay, this wasn't exactly the step I wanted, but now I know what I get to do different. Now I know how I want to show up. I did this, I got this result. Okay, I'm going to do this. And then I bet I'll get this result. And you do it. And you do it. And you put one foot in front of the other. And you bring in people to support you and guide you. And you get to create, and stop reliving and recreating the past, and start creating a future that you want to be in. Yay.
Yay. Whoops. On, off, on, off. Thank you. That was amazing. I knew you would be able to wrap it right up.
Thank you.
Because this is what you do. This is how you work with people. If somebody needs to have a coach to like walk them through it, Mindy is available. She would be amazing. Can I also walk you through it? I sure can. If you're on the New Zealand, Australian side of the world, and you would like somebody that maybe is awake in more of the hours that you're awake in, then contact me and I'll help you. But really, if you're in America, and that was a total but if you're in America, contact Mindy. She's amazing.
Thank you.
She's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Again, how quick does an hour go with you and I? We never run out of things to say.
No.
And I'll bring you back at the beginning of quarter 2 because you're just jump off my quarters. Yeah, you're gonna jump off my quarter because 90 days is my year. I live in 90-day years now. I don't live in I don't try to plan the full year. It is too much for me. Up until now, it has been too much for me. Maybe in the future, I will change to doing something differently. But up until now, the 90-day year has been working amazingly, and I'm choosing to keep that for 2021.
Awesome.
So I will bring you back at the beginning of the next 90 so that you can help me reset my thinking if I'm off track.
Fantastic.
I never go off track. So for my listeners who are listening on the People Do podcast, thank you so much for listening to this podcast, and I look forward to talking with you again in about a week. Remember to always live your life out loud and be bold you.